So for the purposes of our recording, can you just state your name and what you do?
Of course, this is Troy Baker. I get to play Lego Batman. Did I do it properly? It's good to see you again, by the way.
Yeah, you too.
You as well.
Yep.
We had a cool hallway moment. It was awesome. I know San Diego's the big show, but New York always just feels more like home to me. It still feels like a Comic-Con as opposed to...
Yeah, as opposed to feeling like a
San Diego's big.
Well, and there's great comics on the floor, and like San Diego kind of gets like comics. There's going to be in the back hall across the bay. So this is kind of like a good time for me to nerd out. Who's got the first question?
So you've been voicing Batman for a while now.
I know, it's crazy.
I was wondering if the way you're playing Batman now, you feel like it's changed from when you started.
I think the core of it, no.
Yeah.
But I think, as the script changes, the stories change, and as they start adding in different characters, you need to adapt a little bit. Arthur Parsons was just walking around. He was like, "Do you like doing the games?" I said, "Who has a question?" He goes, "Do you like doing the games or the movies better?" I was like, "Oh, the games, intrinsically." But we set one thing up in Lego Batman 2, and then once we actually did the movies for that, it expanded and it grew. So I think that you get to see a little bit more, but I don't know if it actually changes.
Yeah.
I think you maybe get to see some sides. Like for me, once we started talking about, Batman joining the Justice League and pulling from the comics, especially, and saying how resistant he was to joining the Justice League, and the fact that he has a black box with everyone's weakness in it, that's not a funny thing to do.
Yeah.
So the challenge for us is how do we take that and make that funny?
Yeah.
And I think I don't want to be too glib about this, but I think that's a kind of cool lesson in life, is that you can take the darkest thing in the world and find a way to make it funny. Humor is just tragedy plus time. So, if that makes any sense. I'm just going to go
Plenty of sense.
I'm going to go very meta and philosophical. Who is Batman? Yeah. What is a Batman?
I want to ask you, what attracts you to superheroes? You've been a lot of superheroes. Like, what is it about them that you love so much?
I mean, my first foray into nerddom was definitely through graphic novels. The first graphic novel I ever bought was a pocket-sized Batman origin story. And then that got me into Batman, and I just kind of like spiderweb off of that. And even over the last few years, I've gotten away from the typical, which a lot of people have, like stuff that Image and Boom have done, where it's not your traditional superhero.
Yeah,
but we think about graphic novels and we think about Batman, Superman, but I think there's a lot of really good stories to be told in that medium that can only be told in that medium. And something is lost in translation when it gets put into a different kind of, whether it be TV or phone. That being said, though, I think with Gotham, I've really been surprised at how good Arrow Flash is. Because to be honest with you, those were the characters that I cared about the least. And for them to be able to take that and serialize it and make it actually, Steve Amell's just a great dude, first of all. But even with Daredevil, Daredevil was like one of my first, if we can cross lines from DC and Marvel for a second, and not having...
It's Comic-Con, it's
okay. Let's make sure no one explodes. Warner Brothers going, shut up! But the fact that I was super hesitant to Charlie Cox, because it was like, that's not Daredevil at all. Matt Murdock must have either blonde or maybe red hair. Yeah. But to take this, brown-haired, black-eyed Irish dude, it was like, and it's really, really good.
And you believed it.
I really believed it, and he's a badass fighter. So for me, all I care about is being good. And someone asked a question earlier, is like, how does it feel to know that just as the first time I ever heard Batman just speak from like a graphic novel standpoint was an animated series. I'd seen the movies, I'd watched 66 Batman with Adam West. But for this, it was the first time that the same thing that I was seeing, because the art style was incredibly similar to what was going on in the comics at the time. So to give that a voice, Kevin Conroy became my Batman. And I was like, how does it feel to know that you could be someone's introduction to that character? Like, poop, pants.
Oh no.
But that's also, and I'm sure Kevin in, 90 never thought he was just doing a job. He famously tells the story that he had no idea what the show looked like, what it was going to be really, until they brought Ian Martin to do a screening of it. And he just lost his mind. He's like, I had no idea it was this. I would have done so many things differently better. And then, of course, they ran for 5 years and were able to build upon that. And the art style changed through that, too. So there's a lot of similarities between the animated series and the graphic novels.
Yeah, Troy, I have a question. Now you've done work with like animated movies like this, and you've done work on the Telltale games.
Yep.
What is the difference? Is there a lot of difference between working on those two projects?
Telltale really kind of, they think of themselves and they run themselves more like a network.
Yeah, like it's more like television and movie kind of.
They know their mechanics and their systemics are very, very simple, which I think makes them very palatable for anybody. I know a lot of people who aren't gamers
that play them,
but they'll play them. I play all Telltale games on my iPad, which the people at Telltale think is hilarious. And every time I was like, when is this coming out? They're like, well, it's coming out. For you, it'll be coming out a week later. You know? But I don't have the luxury of like dragging my PS4 or my Xbox onto a plane. But if I have a 6-hour flight from LA to New York, I can punch up my iPad and play a kick-ass, console game on my iPad. And that series specifically has meant so much to me. The great characters, incredible writers. I was a huge fan of Telltale games. I played Jurassic Park. I'm saying it was good, but I played it. The Back to the Future series, I still want to have one more episode. I would kill to have one more episode of the Back to the Future series because it, to me, was the 4th movie. It was incredible.
Yeah, man.
Of course, Walking Dead. The Clementine moment was one of the best moments of gaming for me. And that was right before Last of Us came out too, so we were kind of like, hey, we're doing the same thing. But for me to be able to play something, we just wrapped, obviously we're putting out the finale for that. We were almost in tears. No, we were in tears. I'll own it. Nick Herman, the director, and I they Skyped down from San Francisco, and it was just a beautiful moment. I feel like we made something really, really special. And it's moments like that when, whether it be on a Telltale game or The Last of Us or Bioshock or this, where every once in a while you kind of poke your head above the surface and look at everything from a global standpoint and go, this is pretty freaking rad. Like, this is my job. Like, this is what I get to do on a 9 to 5 basis or 10 to 6, depending on what.
Yeah, what was cool about that was I also noticed that you worked with Ashley Johnson on The Last of Us, and then she also showed up in Tales from the Borderlands in this season as
Gortys.
Yeah.
They asked, it was like, who do we get for this? And me and Laura Bailey both were like, we got to get Ashley. And they were like, well, oh my God, we'd love to get Ashley. There's no way we can get her. I'm like, let me text her real quick because I know she loves these games. Ashley was absolutely down to do it, and they ended up changing the character, rewriting the character for Ashley. So that's pretty cool. And someone asked the question today in the panel, was like, since we've been doing this for a while now, do you find yourself writing more for the character? And I think that we've got such a team effort on making these games and these movies that Brandon can understand, okay, at this point now I know that Troy's going to kind of do this, or we've got Phil that's coming in as Brainiac. We know we can punch this up and Phil can really make it land. And so it really comes down to a team effort. It really comes down to, they trust us to bring our skill, to these characters, and we trust them that they're going to write really good pages and put out something that's really good.
So with your latest, I know you released an album a few months ago.
Almost a year ago to the day, because the first time I ever gave it out was right on New York Comic Con.
It was great. To get more of your music into your products now, like into your works now.
I of course I think about that. I think that would be super awesome. I always want to do something that's appropriate, but it's really weird. And I think one of the things that has kept me from, there's people that we work with all the time that there were guys from Arkham Knight that were like, let me hear one of your songs and see if we can put it in there. Like, it'd be kind of weird if, Red Hood was singing in the middle of this. Or Two-Face, however you want to look at it. Spoiler, sorry. But I think that would be fun to do. And every once in a while, I tease myself by thinking about, scoring some stuff or, writing something. And then I think about my friends like Austin Wintry, who is really good at doing that. And my ego gets put aside. And it's like, if there's an opportunity for me to play some music in here, this is the guy that really should do it. Austin did the soundtrack for Journey. not the band, the
Oh,
game.
yeah, I know.
He writes all of Journey's music for Steve Perry has never written a song. So that's kind of what else?
Now, you've done. Oh, sorry. No, you're right.
Yeah, beyond the lighter DC stuff, what's next for you? Is there some projects you'd like people to know about?
Of course, Uncharted 4 is coming out March 16th, I believe. We've announced. It's in March. You can definitely quote that. If it's not 16, erase that word. The final episode of Tales from the Borderlands is coming out this month, which is awesome. I think it's October 20th. I think they may have announced.
Yeah, that's what they said.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just spoiling all of these street dates. I'm like, shut up! This will be coming out. The Lego, what's the Cosmic Clash? I'm just going to give you the actual, this button on the name of this. It's going to be coming out in March. So there's some pretty cool stuff that's on the horizon for us. Yeah.
You mentioned being a big comic book reader. Is there anything you are reading right now, or even watching or listening to, that you wish more people were
I
reading?
need to go back and finish. I picked up, and I was a huge fan of Y the Last Man.
Yeah.
And so I think Ryan's an incredible writer, so I picked up Saga, and I need to finish it. I need to see it through, because I think starting to read Saga made me miss Y so much.
Yeah.
That I walked away from it. Still one of my favorites is favorite series. Speaking of like out of the outer fringe is the Irredeemable and
Oh man, yeah.
It's fantastic.
what's it?
Incorruptible.
That to me was just the most fascinating. It kind of got weird in the end, or in the middle, but the way that they buttoned it up was incredible. And it's the one thing that we always think about is what would happen if Superman had a really bad day.
Yeah.
So I looked at comics like that. There was who is Jake Ellis? I don't know if anybody knows it.
Yeah.
Have you ever read it? It's a run and done series. I'm trying to remember who the writer is. It's probably here. Okay. But those are some of the things that I look to, and I'm always open to suggestions too. So if you guys have anything you're really digging on, let me know. I read them on my iPad. Again, because they're way easier than carting around a bunch of trades.
Oh, it's the best.
So if you like Bright People, you should check out Pride of Baghdad.
Pride of Baghdad.
Yeah, I call it the messed up Lion King.
Yeah, you're talking my language now.
There you go.
Okay.
Check out Pride of Baghdad.
Absolutely, sure. Who's that last question?
Now, you recently did Joker in Batman Unlimited,
Yep.
Monster Mayhem. Great
Yep.
job. Is there anything on the table to potentially continue with that, either as Joker or as a different character? You know, the Unlimited series, basically.
Dude, well, hopefully, because Roger does such a great job. I love hearing Roger's Batman. And who knows, I hope they continue doing that. I mean, they've got their plate full right now. Warner Brothers Animation has a lot going on. Anytime those guys want me to step in, and the way that I look at it is not sub for Mark, but I'm grateful to be thought of as a stand-in for Mark, because to me he will forever and always be the Joker. And there's so much. If I was brought in to do my own version of the Joker, I would really need a lot of help. I don't know how I would do that. But it's something that if I'm ever given the opportunity, like bring in the second string, I'll be like, yes. You know.
Could we hear a quick Joker clip? How about we do just say, you know, do you miss me from Batman Endgame?
Can I give you one of my favorite quotes?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Go for it.
So, from not Arkham Origins, Assault on Arkham.
Oh, yes,
a
yes,
line
yes.
that I thought was going to get cut. There's no way this thing is going to make it to the final thing. Was when he thinks he shoots Batman and he turns around and holds up the head. He goes, "Denzel, what have they done to you?" One of my favorite lines ever, and I'm glad that it actually stuck in. So there's your little.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Guys, thank
Great
you so
talking
much.
to you.
Appreciate it.